Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. Very excited to have another snow press conference. Hoping that we weren't going to have any more. Just to begin, the National Weather Service has announced that we are preparing for a winter storm warning and blizzard watch here in the city of Boston from 5 a.m. tomorrow morning until 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. We're expecting up to 12 inches of snow in the city. We're going to start seeing snow in the city by around 7 a.m. And then after 10 a.m., we'll be seeing about 2 to 4 inches per hour. It could get as high as 5 inches per hour. The wind gusts expected as of right now, 50 to 60 miles per hour. So you're going to see pretty much, you're not going to see, from 10 o'clock in the morning, we're going to have whiteout conditions, poor visibility, and we're going to have high potential for 3-foot snow drifts possible in some parts of the city. As the storm moves west, we're going to potentially see this shift to sleet and rain, and we're going to be watching it closely and monitoring it as we get through the next 24 hours, and we'll update everyone. Tomorrow night's going to be a very cold night in the city, 21 degrees that we're expecting, and we're also expecting another potential storm on Sunday, 3 to 5 inches, which we're monitoring very closely because that is obviously the day of the parade in South Boston. In the city of Boston, we are going to have a snow emergency go into effect starting at 7 a.m. tomorrow, which means that parking is prohibited on all main roads, thoroughfares in the city of Boston. Discarding parking garages will be open for 2 hours before the snow emergency. And if you have any information on that, you go to boston.gov/winter. The Public Works Department is going to have 700 pieces of equipment out on the road. At its peak, we're expecting about 780 pieces of equipment. 450 sanders will be pre-treating the roads, starting tonight and early morning. We're getting another shipment of salt right now, so we're going to have over 36,000 tons of salt that will be available for us to use. When it comes to, we're going to be working we're going to go through different departments right now. We're going to be working with our homeless partners to make sure that our shelters are open throughout the city of Boston. Last night, we experienced a full night in shelter, so we're making arrangements in the city of Boston shelter to handle any overflow. Nobody will be turned away at all in either Woods Mullen or Southampton Street shelter. We're encouraging people to call 911 if you see anyone out in the street, and I want to thank the people. Last storm we had, I actually worked the call center for a little bit, and one of the calls came in, somebody saw somebody sleeping in a doorway, so I want to thank anyone who helped, and if you see anyone out there, please call 911 so we can get everyone off the street. Tomorrow, Boston Public Schools will be closed. We're not going to make a decision on Wednesday yet. We're going to wait to see how we do tomorrow and what happens with the snow, when it turns to rain, to make sure that we will be prepared for that. We're also, all of our BCYF standalone centers will be open tomorrow. So if you have to go to work tomorrow, we're encouraging people to stay off the road, but if you have to go to work, you can. The centers will be open. Trash and recycling pickup will be on for tomorrow. It starts at 5 a.m., so we're asking you to make sure that you get your trash out early. It's generally 2 hours beforehand. People will put out in the morning, so just remember that trash pickup in your neighborhoods that has it tomorrow, and recycling, we're going to begin pickup at 5 a.m. in the morning. Tomorrow, as far as City Hall and city workers, public safety employees, emergency management employees, and anyone involved in snow removal will be reporting to work tomorrow, that they will be working tomorrow. We're asking people to stay off the roads, dress warmly if you go out, and when you go out and shovel your sidewalks, be careful. We're asking you also to help us with hydrants and crosswalks and catch basins, as we do every storm, just to make sure. As I said, the snow drifts are going to be moving snow around, so we want to make sure that if you have a hydrant in front of your home or on the street, please shovel it out. In the case of an emergency, we want to make sure that the fire department can get there. On Wednesday, the fire department will be out working with any hydrants that haven't been shoveled out, but we really need your help. We're asking you to keep an eye out for elderly neighbors and people that are housebound. Check on them today to see if they need anything before the storm starts, possibly at the store. But also tomorrow, just take a peek on them to make sure the heating systems are working and their pipes are working, so we don't have any issues that we have to deal with. We're asking people, as you're shoveling tomorrow, before you stop your cars, shovel out your tailpipes for carbon monoxide dangers, and also make sure that you, again, snow drifts, you might not have much snow in certain parts of your house, but with the snow drifts, could block vents there, dryer vents. We want you to make sure you shovel them all out to make sure they're clear. 311 is going to be operating tomorrow. We're asking you any non-emergency issues that you have, please call 311. We ask you also to be patient. It's going to seem like this is going to be a long storm all day long, so you're going to feel that the streets aren't plowed. We're going to be staying on top of it as best as possible, but with 3 to 5 inches potentially, 2 to 5 inches potentially an hour, you're going to, regardless how quickly a plow gets your street, within a half hour it's going to look like your street hasn't been plowed, so they're going to be constantly working around the city of Boston. We are adding, in our 311 call center, we're adding capacity for regular and overnight calls. We have, right now, we have staffed 13 volunteers and 18 staff on the phone lines. We also are working with city departments to get additional volunteers to make sure that our phone lines are covered, and you can use the 311 app. You can download that. EMS is bringing on additional staffing. Commissioner Finn from the Boston Fire Department is with us here today. They're bringing on some staffing in certain areas of the city of Boston. They're tight areas, tight neighborhoods. In some neighborhoods, regardless of snow, and now it's snow, we want to make sure that we have the proper personnel out there. Again, if you have any emergencies tonight or tomorrow, we ask you to call 311 for emergencies, and for non-emergencies, for emergencies, we ask you to call 911, and for non-emergencies, we ask you to call 311. We're asking people to stay off the roads tomorrow. And just for the press point of view, tomorrow will be our 4th school closing of the year. We have $23 million in our snow budget, and we have roughly $5.5 million left in our snow budget, so that will get us through this storm without having to look at possible dipping into reserves. And the space saver rule does not go into effect until the snow starts to fall. So if you're out there, anyone who's saving spots today should not be saving spots. If they are and you call 311, we will do our best to get to those spots, but I'm not going to put city resources right now around the city of Boston picking up space savers in the city. So we're asking people to work with us here and do not put space savers out tonight because there's no snow on the ground. And we don't. And again, if you call 311, we will do our best to get to those spots, space savers. But I'm not sending a crew out to pick them up. We're asking residents that are listening to us, don't save spaces. I want to just one last thing I want to say, and then I'm going to open up for questions. I want to thank the ASL interpreters for their commitment, helping ensure equitable communications for all our residents. As you know, the interpreters are at all of our press conferences, and they do an incredible job in our city, and I want to thank them for their service. Questions? Yeah.
How does the storm differ from the previous big storm earlier in the year in terms of the city's response? How are you responding differently to this one than the previous one?
Well, I think it's pretty much the same response. The only difference really about the storm, and I'm trying to think of another storm like this, most of our storms, in 2015, most of our storms happened on the weekend, so it was easier for us to manage the storm, where we had Friday, Saturday, Sunday to kind of clean up after the storm. This happens at rush hour, so it's a difficult storm. The only difference between this one and the last one, we were expecting a bigger storm, but we always knew right to the very end, even the meteorologists were saying this, it could change, and it kind of changed at the very end. This storm that's coming, we are going to get hit. We're going to get hit with significant amounts of snow. And it's going to turn to rain at some point, but I think last storm we were expecting up to a foot of snow. I think we ended up getting 4 or 5 inches. This storm, we began expecting 18 inches. It's down to 12 now, so we are going to get hit. So it's a little more consistent, I guess, if you will. We can understand this one's coming.
Mayor, did you say no public schools, but yes to city workers?
No public schools, yes to city workers who work in public safety, emergency management personnel, and anyone involved in snow removal. Everyone else will be off tomorrow. 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And it'll go until I'm not sure what time we're going to end it. Again, we're not sure exactly with this type of snow and with the wind gusts. It's going to wreak havoc in certain parts of the city, maybe more than others. So we're going to keep the snow emergency in effect until we can get a good handle on removing snow. And I think tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm assuming if we get the 12 to 18 inches of snow, we're going to expect some delays on Wednesday as well, because it's going to stop around midnight. We'll get flurries probably for a couple more hours, according to the weather people, and then we'll be cleaning up all night long.
So you said that the snow budget will be blown after tomorrow?
Well, potentially. you know, I wouldn't be upset to see this thing turn to rain and you know, get criticized for canceling school. But you know, as of right now, you know, you're talking a pretty significant storm. This is not just a plowing operation. This is going to be a snow removal operation at some point. So you're looking at probably bringing in front-end loaders and dump trucks, and finally using truck-mounted snow blowers here in the city. So you're talking about, it's not just a cleaning of the streets, it's actually a removal if we get 12 to 18 inches.
What happens for Sunday's storm? Where do you
Well,
start
we'll figure
the
it out.
day?
Well, I mean, we'll make it work. I mean, we're not going to cut back. I mean, we're not going to go so deep into the budget. I think in 2015, we shot over by 10, 12, 13 million, something to that effect, maybe even higher. I'm not really concerned about that. We're going to have the crews will be rested. They'll be ready to go on Sunday if there is a snowstorm, and we'll also have plenty of salt. So we're preparing for it in case it has it. We allot $23 million per year for the budget. Obviously, in snow operations, and, you know, buying the salt, removing the snow, plowing the snow. In 2014, we had a surplus. 2015, we didn't have a surplus. 2016, we had a surplus. And 2017, we potentially maybe break even. Public Works does a really good job of managing the storm. So we try to use a lot of the city resources as best as possible. So that cuts down on the outside contracting. It's really going to depend upon how much outside contracting we have to bring in. Hopefully, we won't have to bring in that much.
Piece of machinery you're going to be using that
The truck-mounted snow blowers that we bought a couple of years ago to actually take the snow off the street. We'll probably see those on major thoroughfares, probably sometime either late tomorrow or Wednesday.
How concerned are you about the power outage situation?
Depending on when the rain turns. I mean, we were fortunate in so far the storms this year. We didn't have many power outages. A lot of the southeastern Massachusetts did when they had the heavy rain, which went on the power lines. This snow, depending on when it turns to rain, that's when you get concerned about down trees and down power lines. So we stay in contact with utility companies in case something like that were to happen. Our Office of Neighborhood Services will be preparing as well around the neighborhood. Last storm, what we did was we took our Office of Neighborhood Services, and for a while we had the people in that office driving around the neighborhoods, keeping an eye on things. We will be able to at some point do it. This one's a little different because we're going to have kind of blizzard condition, so we're going to obey the law and try and keep people off the street. But after the storm is over, we'll have them out in the communities, and if we have a situation where a power outage goes down, we'll get right on it. Yes?
It's sort of related to it, not totally. Commuter rail, proposals for eliminating that, and also parts of the ride. What do you think about that?
Two very difficult decisions. I don't know if I haven't spoken to the MBTA about that. I think that, you know, we are a 7-day-a-week city, and I think a lot of people come into our city, whether to work or to shop. I've only read the breaking news. I got a briefing about 3 minutes ago, so that's why I kind of know what you're talking about. You know, again, we have to sit down with the MBTA and talk to them about it. Certainly, it's concerns. I'm not sure what aspects of the ride have been cut, so I can't comment on that. But I'm sure I'll be at this podium over the course of the next 24 hours, so I'll have more information for you then.
Shoveling out, if the snow is coming in various intervals, what time do people have to shovel out?
I think if you're off tomorrow, I would probably try and shovel several times, at least to keep it just for your own well-being, because you're talking about you're better off going out and trying, depending on how much you have to shovel, how much area you have to shovel. You're better off shoveling 2 or 3 times of 3 or 4 inches of snow rather than waiting for the foot. It depends on who you are and how you are, but we're asking people to prepare. If you own businesses in the city of Boston, I would suggest that you make preparation to have your businesses shoveled out the next day so that we can make sure people can get down the street. I know there was some controversy last time that we ticketed a business in the city of Boston. An elderly woman owned a business, so I'd recommend that businesses in the city begin preparation now to make sure that you have proper people shoveling out your spaces. If you have elderly neighbors living in their homes, we're asking people if you could help them dig out their houses as well. We gave some tickets out last time. If we happen to give a ticket to an elderly person who owns a home, you just simply call the city. You can appeal the ticket. We will work to fix it for you. But if you're a younger person, you're responsible for shoveling your streets, shoveling in front of your home. We had many city departments that got ticketed themselves last time, and you know, we're going to make sure the same thing this time. I had a meeting in this very room earlier today with all the different departments, and I expressed very clearly that I expect to have our property all cleaned. The one area we had trouble with last time was Parks and Recreation. A couple of their machinery went down I think they have, I'm not sure exactly what they're called. I think they're like street sweepers for snow. They have them back. They're working now. We talked about it today. So we're going to do our best to make sure that our streets are clean after the storm for Wednesday. And again, Wednesday school will depend upon how much snow we get and how prepared we are to be able to make sure the roads are safe, make sure the streets are clean, and the lots are open for the schools.
Call on that.
Probably sometime tomorrow. You know, generally when we cancel school, or at least when I cancel school, we like to do it early enough so parents can make arrangements for the next day. We'd love to have school on Wednesday. I really don't want to get into the habit right now of canceling school. It's crunch time for the kids as they head into the spring, and then, you know, they have a couple months left in their school year, so this is an important time, and we don't like to see, you know, I don't like to see the week broken up like this, where you have school today, no school tomorrow. You don't want to have, you know, two-day weeks or 3-day weeks when you lose that consistency. So that's why I don't like these Tuesday, Wednesday storms. I would prefer the Friday, Monday storms. At least you can prepare better for your lessons in school.
Last question?
Well, thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. You'll all be in heavy gear. Thank you.